Hi, this is Teri, and today we're going to paint the Hideki class fighters, which are the month 5 participation prize, and hopefully you'll be getting yours soon at your next OP event. The first thing we're going to do to start off is put on a brown wash. The base color of this fighter is quite close to what you'd be looking at in terms of what's on the show, so instead of repainting it, I just wanted to put a wash on top of it. I am using a discontinued ink from Citadel's range, which was an old flesh wash, which actually came in as a very, very pigmented ink. The new washes I am not too much of a fan of, so I tend to opt for Privateer Press P3 inks. You can also use like a Flesh Wash or Sepia Tone. They have a pretty substantial range there. You can also use any other type of wash. Army Painter makes a pretty great wash. Like a soft tone is kind of what you'd be looking for here, but you really want to water that down because it is still quite dark. Or you can use Citadel washes. I just find that they're a little... The texture is very thick, and when you're painting something this small and this fine, you want something that's very thin so it sinks down into the cracks and it doesn't form a coat over the flat surfaces of the ship. I also get a lot of questions about how I do my washes. Basically, I paint on a small area. This case, I'm doing the entire ship because it's pretty tiny, and then I wash the ink off the brush. I actually tend to lick that ink off the brush, but you can use a glass of water, and while the brush is still damp, I move the wash into the cracks of the ship. It works really well if you have a nice thin wash. Again, you want to remember about thinning down a wash. If you do have a thicker wash, thin it down with some water before applying it. You can do multiple thin coats as opposed to one thick coat, and if you do one really thick coat, you're more likely to get that weird puddly, splotchy effect on the flat, raised areas of your ship. You can also go back, especially if you haven't painted a base coat on it and you're doing it directly on the base coat, take a little Q-tip or a brush dipped in some rubbing alcohol and go over the flat surfaces just after you've painted them and let them dry just a little bit with the wash if you've noticed any puddling. If you do that, the rubbing alcohol will actually kind of break down that color a little bit, and you can wipe it off with the Q-tip or that brush and pull some of that color off, again lightening that tone up. And because it's just on the brush and it evaporates so quickly, it's not going to settle into the cracks and pull color out of the cracks or crevices which you're washing. Finally, I'm going to paint on the nacelles, which are a turquoise color, so I'm going to use Vallejo's Turquoise and just paint a base coat on there. There's like this tiny square at the back of the body of the ship and this kind of rectangular shape on the side of it. It's really tight, but you'll see it once I finish highlighting it up. Once that coat of turquoise is dry, I'm going to take a little bit of white, mix it into the turquoise, paint that in the inside of those two turquoise squares and rectangles that I painted previously. And then finally, I'm going to take just a touch of white and draw a quick line right through the middle of both those two sections, just to, again, give the appearance of light coming out of those nacelles, so you have a nice feel for energy. And that's it. This is a really simple repaint. I hope you try it out on your ships. And if you have any questions, please let me know in comments. Thanks so much. Don't forget to like if you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and share this with your friends. Let's get to the meat of it. First things first, this is a tournament resource, which means you cannot use any of the previous resource items, the attack die, or the command pips, the reinforcement sideboard, or the flagship cards. So you can also only take one of these. And what's really unique is